Could you tell something about yourself first?
Yeah, okay. It's my pleasure to be here and talk about something about my school and about myself. I'm from China, Shaoxing city, which is located in east of China. And I'm working in a university named Shaoxing University. I teach international business. I've been in the school as a teacher for about 15 years. Before that, I worked in a foreign trader company as businessman, and I worked there for about 4 years. And before that, I also worked in a factory doing production practice and many other works. So that's my experience. During my teaching career, I also have some part-time jobs in local enterprises.
Could you tell something about your cooperation practices between your education, your program, and then with the working life?
I also have my own very small enterprise. For example, I set up real agent enterprises, a shop or agency as a real estate agent or some kind of other information agent. I also employ 1 or 2 persons to work for my shop, and I also invite my students to do some work as a practice to increase their experience in business. So I think that kind of work is helpful to students. When they're doing some work in business or when they're doing anything related to business, they will increase the awareness of business, and also they can learn something about etiquette, social etiquette in business. So that's one kind of practice I can, or one kind of opportunity I can offer them. I have my own jobs, own business, so I can invite them to join my program or my business. That's one aspect. Another thing that I will try to contact some enterprises in my local area. I know many entrepreneurs in the local area. When I do some work with some program, I know these enterprises. They also need some teachers to give them some advice. So it's easy for me to connect them, and they will be pleased to help my students, or some kind of cooperation is, I think it's beneficial to other parties. Those enterprises need some students to do something as an internship, and those students also beneficial from such kind of activities. For example, they will invite some students to some part-time job. If there are some opportunities, such, for example, have a trade fair or some business activity, they will invite some students to join in the program or some activities. That's other kind of opportunity of cooperation between educational organization and enterprises. And and the last aspect I think is that we all sometimes, not often, we will invite some graduates to our school to have lectures. So sometimes I also contact my students who graduated from my school to ask them their situation, their conditions, and their experience. Their experience also as examples to teach my students how to facing the fierce competition, how to find a suitable job for himself or herself. Just a few days ago, or I can say during I stay in Finland, I also contact my students who will graduate a few months later. He's worrying about during his internship whether he needed to continue to stay in that company or whether he needed to decide to do that kind of work. Many kind of questions she asked me. I always patiently answered her. So that kind of talk can be beneficial to us. I tell them my experience and my viewpoint, my feeling, and she is very appreciated. So that's my basic thought about cooperation between education organization and graduates.
Okay.
That's all.
And you said you give personal guidance for the students who have already graduated. Did you mean that?
Yes, not as a regulation. Only if they need privately.
Only if they ask.
Yes, if they they trust me. They ask me some question. I will help them. It's my pleasure. It also can increase my awareness, my recognition about many things. Students who major in business, they always feel, I don't know the road. Where the road is? How can I develop my road? That kind of question always ask me. I say, to a businessman or to an entrepreneur, you just go, you just do it. Do everything. Even it seems very simple, you will be succeed. Just as a novelist say, a Chinese novelist say, on the ground there isn't road. If many person pass through there's a road. So that's a principle I always teach my students, especially who major in business or related major. That's my advice. Yeah.
Okay. Do you arrange visits to organizations so that students can get familiar with working life?
What kind of organization do you refer to?
For example, you go with your students to some organization, some industry place, and
some enterprises.
For example.
Yeah. For
yes.
example, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes we organize such kind of activity to visit enterprises or some organizations, but not often, because China is still school-oriented, not ability-oriented. So, school is obvious. So if a teacher help a students to raise or to improve their ability to get high school, that's obvious. It looks that a teacher has a high ability, but if a teacher helps a student to increase those invisible abilities, it's obvious. So in that kind of context, so teacher don't have much time to help those students to improve their ability, those practical ability. So, but nowadays, with the competition become more fierce, some kind of universities, especially those business-related faculties, began to consider how to improve the practical ability of students. So we also organize some such kind of activities. In my business school of Shaoxing University, they also have some partners based on contracts which can accept students as intern to do some work on a trial base, but not many. There are some. Some big local enterprises have set up scholarship fund. That's also another kind of cooperation or partnership to stimulate those excellent students work hard, learn hard, and to help them to partially pay some tuitions. So that's another kind of partnership.
Yes.
The other kind of partnership is to accept those students to work there temporarily as an internship. So there are two kind of partnership. One is internship work, or other is scholarship fund supported by those local enterprises.
Yeah. The final question,
Yeah.
how would you develop these cooperation practices?
Personally, I think that from my own perspective, I try to do many works. Just as I said now, I try to do many things if I have free time, if I have opportunity during vacation, during summer vacation or winter vacation. I will try to do many kind of things. I try to find opportunity through many channels, many information platforms. Try to find the opportunity which I can increase my practical ability. That's the perspective from my own experience. Then from the students' perspective, I try to persuade them to do some part-time job, especially during their vacation, during their summer vacation or winter vacation, and after they come back from holiday, I will ask them, what about the part-time job? Have you do any work? From few years ago, our school set up a system, a regulation that every teacher should accept 2 or 5 or 6 students as his spatially connected students. That means these students always closely related. We need actually, not can, we need necessary connections from his study, his learning, his life to his life. Many aspects we need to help them to, if they have some problem, psychological problem or life problem, I have to help him That's regulation, compulsory. Every teacher, every professional teacher have to do such kind of job, such kind of work, without any extra pay.
Yeah, so the responsibility
Yes,
is
yes,
yours, the
yes,
teachers.
it's a kind of responsibility, new responsibility. Formerly, 10 years ago, a university teacher only needed to offer lessons, only needed to let the students know some key knowledges. He or she don't need to do some unrelated things, not academic things work. But nowadays, we have to do many things, from a student's life to his psychological problem. Anything we have to care them, especially those students which assigned to me. That's our school's compulsory task, to help my students. Every class divided into many groups. In one group, there is a teacher help them, advise them, to help them learn well, and to help them find suitable jobs.